Welcome to Forever Exiled, the Path of Exile podcast. I am Justin, aka Tags.
And I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Episode 95, Forever Exiled. What's 95, Ty?
Nothing. I couldn't even find an athlete I knew that wore number 95.
Really?
Yeah, it's just close
Wow.
to 96. So that's special. It's also a digit of 5, and it is pretty neat.
Anyway, episode 95. Thank you guys for joining us. Big shout out to our Patreons. 3 new Patreons this week. Benedict Squeedus and Get a Band-Aid. All great names.
All great names. Thanks for joining.
Yep, all great names. Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you for supporting the podcast. Your faces are awesome. If you're curious what our Patreon is, it gets you access to After Dark, which is our podcast after this podcast, which we've had every single time except last week because I was away. Thank you guys, though, for supporting. You're awesome.
Sorry. Now, our Discord's actually been getting to be very, very busy and very popular, and it's awesome. A lot of people talking about a lot of different things, but for Justin and I to scroll through, it is getting to be a lot more to scroll through, and we're totally fine with it. But if you want to get a hold of us, I just wanted to remind people to @ us if you're in our Discord, just to make sure that we actually are seeing something that you want us to notice. Otherwise, we might miss it. Just giving you a heads up, but love you on Discord. You're fantastic.
You are. How was your week, Ty?
Well, we're back up to another weather warning, I guess. All the smoke and fires from the Okanagan are finally headed our way. I guess it hasn't been that windy. Normally we get it pretty quick. So nobody's supposed to be hanging out outside just for the fun of it. Stay outside if you shouldn't be because of all the smoke. And then we're back into 40-degree weather again. It's turning into a normal thing, eh? Now it's like, it's only 39 degrees outside. So, But Justin, today's a big day. Today's a big day in Tylerland because my wife and I are big Blue Jays fans. And today was their very first home game in 670 days because of COVID. Their home games, quote unquote, have been in, Buffalo and down in Florida where their training camp is. And so it was pretty crazy. Like all the staff and announcers are all getting all emotional and everything. And they had a huge tribute to it. And, I don't want to pump up any specific listeners or anything, but the Blue Jays, wink, wink, Stokely, wink, wink, sounded especially good tonight. So nice work. Nice work.
Cool.
Yeah. Olympics are also on, which is absolutely fantastic. And it's basically the reason we pay extra for cable, that like once every 2 years thing, because my kids, they're 6 and 8, right? They still have lots to learn, but it's cool to show Olympics when they're that young and they just get to experience like, there's a sport for throwing a stick.
Right.
They're lifting weights. There's swimming. There's diving. There's it's just crazy. All the stuff that we don't normally get on our screen. Even though Canada's huge into rugby, it's barely on TV. You need one of the extra packages to get it. And we love our rugby in Canada. So it's really cool for them to see that. And my daughter, she's experiencing all these things. Like she's seeing the gymnast jump up and down, and she's seeing the karate chop to the head. And I'll be downstairs doing some work on the computer, or I'll be outside doing weeding. And then all of a sudden I'll hear from the house, "Oh, what?" She's every 5 seconds, she's just over the top, dramatically amazed by what she's seeing. So it's pretty funny. And like the swimmers will do like 100-meter sprint or something. And she'll be like, "Wow, they had to get wet for that." Like this kind of weird realization for it. So yeah, it's been a really fun week. Oh, and we got the barbecue that I told you about. Remember?
Yep.
I think we got it, but it wasn't built last time. And I was joking.
Yeah, you said you were going to build it.
Well, yeah, but I also joked that my wife was just going to push me aside and do it. Well, she
100%.
did very kindly, not in a rude way, but she very kindly kicked me out.
It was angry.
And, well, it was kind of concussion stuff, right? Because I lifted it up the stairs or took a whole bunch of different pieces up the stairs, but some of them are pretty heavy, and I can't do heavy with my concussion stuff. So she's, we've been together for a long time now. So now when my face does certain things, she can tell that I've just done something that kind of exerted myself more than my symptoms, more than I should, to be able to handle the rest of the day. So she's seeing the blinking and the weird faces that I make, and she's like, just go inside. So I'm like,
it's like your yawn. It's like your yawn. It's just that annoying thing you do where people are like, ugh.
Well, I hate you. But yeah, so anyway, we had it and she's super excited. Yeah, the barbecue's more for her than for me, even though I love it. And so if she's happy, I'm happy. And so it was a good week. Busy week, but good week.
Did you use it?
Yeah, twice.
Nice.
Yeah, we're going to go crazy. You know how like when you get brand new shoes, you sleep with them, you're so excited? It's kind of like us with the barbecue. We're like, well, not you, because you have 800 pairs of shoes, but kids. So anyway, we're kind of like that. We get the barbecue and we're barbecuing every night for a bit. How about you? How was your week? You just got back. Everybody, Justin, this episode almost didn't happen, and it's just because
It's true.
Justin's awesome that it did. He got back from vacation for like a week ago, maybe not even an hour ago,
A couple
and,
hours
and he's
ago,
like,
yep.
"Ty, we're doing this."
Yeah, that's what I said. I had let's see, my week was awesome. I was away. I've been away all week. I got to play PoE twice. So we'll talk about that pretty soon. But yeah, no, we were up in Whistler for a week. Went and did some. We did everything. Went to a couple lakes. Went through the village. Hung out at the house. This house was amazing. It had a sauna and a steam room inside the house. So
Inside the house.
inside the house, I used it every single night. I set them to the highest that they could go to. My kids couldn't even walk into the steam room because it burnt your face. But I would set them every single night to the highest temperature. And then also in the area was a walk-through shower. So I would just turn it on full cold and I'd go do like 5-10 minutes in the sauna and then go soak in freezing cold water and then go do 5-10 minutes in the steam room. And that was an hour. It was amazing.
You and I have very different versions of a good evening.
Oh, it was awesome.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was good. It was just a lot of drinking, a lot of games because we went with some friends of ours, and then every single day was packed with stuff with the kids. So we were out and about all over the place.
But it was good, fun. Right?
It was, yeah.
Awesome.
I would do it again. It was nice to get away,
get
a bit of a break. And Whistler's beautiful, man. The drive to Whistler is just the sea to sky highway. Is so cool.
Yes, it is.
It's just it literally is. There's the ocean and there's giant mountains.
Yeah. And they fixed it up. It used to be pretty dangerous. They fixed it up a lot, and it's really nice now.
It wasn't too bad. We saw a pretty bad accident coming back, but no, it was fine. The drive up there really was really good, and then coming back was good. So I was done. Like after a week, like last night, I said to my wife, I'm like, I'm ready to go home.
Is that because you're a homebody, or is it just because it's like the time?
No, you just get tired.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were every single day. We did this. There's a hike up there where you can go to where in the 50s a train crashed, and like 9 of the cars from this train at the time couldn't be recovered. So they cleared them away from the track. And now there's actually a hike that goes up to there, and they've all been spray painted and graffiti. Like they look really cool. And so there's a hike that goes up there to go look at them. So we took the kids up there one day, did a hike up there, but I'm wearing like a backpack and I've got my kids and and my back's fine, but not the greatest. So by the end of yesterday, I was just like, I want my bed. And yeah, plus I like to work. So I get a little bit stir crazy when I'm not doing something work related, but it was really fun. My kids all had a blast. So.
And this was for your wife's birthday?
Yeah, it was our anniversary and her birthday. Her birthday was today. It's today.
Yeah.
So
happy birthday, Christina. I messaged her. She didn't message me back. She's a prick.
She's probably not on her phone. So anyway, we did. Yeah, it was fun. I had a great week. Nice and relaxing. Extremely tired. I cannot wait to go to bed tonight. But it's Forever Exiled.
A Path of Exile podcast.
Not sometimes exiled. It's forever exiled.
That's right. That's right. Unskippable.
We do have a lot to talk about too. That was the other thing is I debated some other ideas for this episode, but there's too much to talk about. There really is. There's a lot to talk about. So how about you tell me first about, well, hold on. Let me tell you about my PoE week.
Hey, before you go, how was your PoE week?
Play two times.
Oh, okay. Yep. Tell me about it.
Well, first off, my laptop was a beast, but it sounded like a jet taking off because I set it into like its performance mode. I'm not kidding. I feel like it actually was running smoother than my desktop, which was kind of annoying, but it never dropped down below 120 frames per second. It was super, super smooth, and it was fine. I'm still doing Ice Trapper. I'm just about finished the axe, so I'll be into maps pretty soon. I wanted to get into maps. I just didn't have time. I literally had barely any time to play. If I pulled the laptop out, my wife was like, "Are you serious? You're gonna play that?" And I'm like, "Well, everybody's out. I'm staying here with my daughter so she can have a nap. So I should just, I got to talk about it in a couple days. I got to play."
That's right. It's for science. It's for the podcast.
For science. It's fun. I had a good time. I want to talk a lot more though about the other stuff that happened this week. So I don't have a whole lot about my PoE week besides Ice Trapper is a beast. It's crushing bosses through the axe so far. And I'm really enjoying the expeditions.
Nice.
So yeah. What about you? How's your PoE week?
what is this, first week after league launch per se, official week, I guess you could say. So had to do my guide touch-ups. I actually reformatted them quite a lot, reworded a lot of things that I've copy and pasted throughout the years, and I reread them every league, so it's not like they're outdated. Sometimes I make mistakes, but I reread them and I'm like, yeah, that's relevant, but I word things differently now. There's things that I want to point out that, making different points, like how I respond and stuff. Getting a lot of people this league that are saying like, hey, if I want to do this and this, how could I do that? And so I've kind of changed some of the wording, like, hey, though I organize my guide so that, you can be as free or customizable as you want, small details or big details, kind of like how Yoji would say it, right? Like changing the smallest thing in a build and a guide can change absolutely every detail about it. So I've changed points like, I'll respond if you have questions about the guide and the guide's build. If you want to make changes, go ahead, but that's on your own. If it works, great. If it doesn't, come back to the guide. So I did some rewording there, but they're all up to date. I finished my example videos. Unfortunately, I finished my guide videos because I did my guide videos on 3.15.0C.
Oh, okay.
That's the
That's
version that was
before?
released to console, and that's where I have all my characters. It was the D patch where all the mana multiplier values got changed. So, and mana is obviously the huge focus for everybody. So now they're not within the example video getting the proper estimation for how my cast and damage taken gems are working. So I had to have a little disclaimers in my descriptions, which of course nobody reads, right? And so there was that. But dude, this was the most terrifying thing I think I have ever done in my career as a Path of Exile community creator. I deleted filters, Justin. Remember how I told you I had 24 filters? Well, GGG's system, I don't know why. I put in a suggestion in their little suggestion box they have, and put my little piece of paper in there. And I, of course, wasn't expecting anything to happen, but you can't just disable a filter. Once I never noticed this because I've never wanted to remove a filter from the public, but once you make a filter, you can choose to have a filter not available to the public, but once you check that box and click submit, you can't uncheck it. It's gone. It's forever public, which means the only way to get rid of it is delete the entire thing. That's crazy to me because if you have followers, let's say I have 7,000 people following a filter and I disable it, okay, maybe there's some things I want to do, or maybe this tier isn't relevant anymore. But if I re-enable it, those people are still following it. They don't have to re-find it or rediscover that 5 months ago I re-enabled it, or like I made a new filter. So what I had to do now is completely delete my 3 tiers of filters because I've gone to like an all-in-one progressive system where it's one filter that does everything and gets more strict as time goes on. And I'm really liking it, and I'm getting a lot of compliments on it, which is nice. But it was weird to delete filters that had thousands of followers. It was nerve-wracking.
I would think that the reason that they do that is so that you can't dictate what's happening on somebody else's filters. Like if you delete it, fine, it's gone. But that way you can't disable and then re-enable and then disable and then re-enable it. Where if I'm following yours, you are essentially turning on and off a filter that I'm using.
Sure. That makes sense.
So you had to actually delete it. Did you back it up?
Yeah, but I'm probably not going to go back to it because the reason that I'm changing it isn't out of personal preference more than it is common sense. Like 24 filters is just a ton to manage, and I need the space to test other filters, and I didn't have that because I maxed at 30. So I did actually want to ask you quickly before we get into the stuff. Remember our private league? We in 3.14 we had a private league where we chose, instead of doing hardcore, we went no magic and no rare drops. Remember that?
Yeah, no stash. Mm-hmm.
And no stash. But playing with no magic and no rare and no stash really changed the way we were going to play. And we were talking about, oh man, this is going to totally change the way. Has that changed anything for you? Like the currency you're keeping, how you're dealing with the items when you're leveling?
Did you and I talk? I don't remember if you and I talked because I thought I can't remember now if I had this conversation with you or with Ethan, but I was laughing to myself that how quickly I gave up on the whole idea of like, yeah, this is going to change how I play. After last private league, I remember thinking, oh, you kind of want to use the currency quicker, or what's the point in holding on to it? And when you have no stash, you have to think about what you want to use on the fly versus what you actually want to hold on to. Not it, boosh. It's gone.
Oh,
Right over
yeah?
my. I'm stashing everything. Yep.
Back
I'm
to
not
the old
using my
ways?
bindings when I get them, even though I could take advantage of them right now. No, it's weird how quickly I just shut that off, got my affinities set up, and I'm like, all right, control click.
That's awesome.
So no, it hasn't changed.
Yeah.
What about for you?
The mentality's still there, but I'm giving myself less opportunity to use it. Like I'm using alks on occasion, or I'm using essences first. But I'm using alks when I find a 4-link of a base that I want, that's the colors I want, because maybe I don't have the chromatics. I've accidentally used the wrong chromatics on the wrong type of base type, and I've wasted stuff. So I'm using a lot more currency than used to, but I still have my filter set up the same way. The game still has a very garbage looting system. So very quickly into the campaign, I'm showing rares only. So the whole, picking up normals. I'm only getting one-handed weapons that show if they're 3-linked, if they're normal, and then it's only 4 links after. Like it's 2 links, then 3 links, then 4 links. But as soon as 3 links are available, my 2 links get cut out. As soon as 4 links are available, my 3 links get cut out unless they're one-handed. So like my filter doesn't allow me the opportunity to play completely the old way, but I am using a lot more of the currency. I'm not nervous to use it anyway because I realized I didn't run out when I was spending it freely. So
We recorded our last episode right before I took off on vacation. I think we played that evening, or the next, I can't remember, but I got a tabula as soon as we started playing, which was pretty awesome.
You just shut it, okay? I don't know. You're like you get in the paid streamer, right? People like say that like GGG boosts the RNG of
Obviously.
You got
Why
it
wouldn't
somehow.
they?
No, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But for my build specifically, I started off, I want to do one of my guides. I want to see what the new mana situation was like for that and the new flask situation. I just want to see what I was providing the community with it. And then I just couldn't stop thinking about the Reaper. So I'm like, okay, fine, screw it. I'm going to have some fun. So I'm not doing my bone zombie guide. I'm doing a summon Reaper guide. I'm using the same tree.
Do you change much? Okay, yeah.
I'm using the same tree as bone zombies. Now that has, because it's zombies and you have to raise zombies from corpses, it sucks when zombies die, especially in a boss battle. So you really want to make sure your zombies are always alive. So I am using that same tree with the Reaper. And I don't know how, that's probably not very min-maxed because you want the Reaper to need to consume a minion because then they get a boost, right? They get a buff. So it's not min-max, but I do also want to see its default value, its default damage on a regular basis. So I'm fine doing this for science per se.
Definitely looks cool.
Yeah, it does. And it's honestly, man, it is easy mode. Like there's a point in the
camp. Are you using the active skill?
Nope.
Like where you recap, where you
well,
so
it's on my space
right?
bar. But it is seriously, man, like I'm going to use the Reaper as an example when we're talking about the changes that GGG has made since launch. Because this Reaper, they buffed it, but if I use spacebar, that here's my Reaper button, like go attack this boss, it's dead in 2 hits. Like it's insane. And I've revamped my skills around because
what's
of course
dead in 2 hits, the boss or the Reaper?
The boss.
Wow.
Oh yeah, and my Reaper never loses health. So I'm using skeletons as a 4-link, and they're doing stuff like feeding frenzy, maim, because I'm going pure physical, of course, because there's the bleed with the Reaper. Feeding frenzy, calling strike, and maim support for my skeletons. And then my Reaper is going to be on a 4, 5, 6 link, and then everything else is like you can't have other support minions, right? I'm not doing specters. Was reminded quite quickly how much of a waste that is, and same with the golem even. So it's a lot of fun. Redid the gems, but I'm having a really good time.
Cool.
And one of the coolest things, Justin, about the Reaper, it has a massive aggro range. Remember we were laughing about the golem aggro range? It changed to 50 and nobody knows what that means. Well, the Reaper, whatever the number is, it's massive. It is off screen so much, and it is so fun.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it's great because I don't see any enemies. All of a sudden, my Reaper disappears. It's like it vanishes like Dracula. And then all of a sudden I hear ding, 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 things dropping, and it jumps over ledges, Justin.
Oh, that's cool.
So, like when you're going through the path to innocence and there's all those ups and downs of stairs and ledges and you got to go find it. It's up. It's like, screw you. It's like when I'm playing with you and you're using leap slam and I don't have a movement skill. You're gone. That's exactly what the Reaper's like. Except the Reaper likes to play with me.
Clearly.
Yeah. Now, there's one thing I've been very careful. I hate immunities, so I'm obviously very careful to not touch immunities. Have you been finding that by avoiding the immunity that would screw you over, are you still coming into circumstances where you're running into that immunity? So, for example, for me, I'm running into circumstances where, and I swear I'm being careful. It could still be user error, but I swear I'm being crazy careful to make sure I'm not getting any physical immunities. I'm running into mobs on league only mobs, not core mobs, but so league content, where all of a sudden I can't do damage to them. Have you come
Hmm.
across that?
No, I would guess that maybe it's just accidental placement
I hope so.
of the bomb or something,
I
because
hope so.
I avoid cold immunity obviously as much as possible, because then I would be screwed. I haven't had it ever happen, just like where I no, I've actually never even had it happen, but I wouldn't put a bomb on that. But I could see maybe if you were placing close to them, it's possible to accidentally slightly overlap. It's not the greatest display in the expedition as to like what you're activating with the bomb. Like you get a little bit of green, but when you're trying to get like right on those edges, sometimes you're not 100% sure if you're covering it all.
So, but overall, it's been a good week. I was hoping to like blow past you. First time ever I reach maps before you reach maps, and I played like once this week. Like it's just been busy, right? Like one of our buddies had a birthday, and so obviously you want to dedicate an evening to that. And then there's so many other things that happened this week, and all of a sudden it's like podcast day. I'm like, dang. So I squeezed in 20 minutes before we got here, and that was it. Act
what do you
10.
think of Expedition so far in the bit that you've played it?
Uh, honestly, skipping it
Why?
because the acts are too long. I like you and I both hate leveling.
Yep.
I have zero interest. Like, there's just something in me where it's like I just want to stop doing. I just want to get to maps. Like this always takes forever. Always takes forever. I just want to get to the content that I'm looking forward to.
I didn't find it so bad as long as I passed it. As long as it was something in my pathway, I was doing them and I was finding them quite fun. Some of the stuff you can get is quite good. I really like how the different characters deal with trading. Besides the one boss dude, whatever his name is, can't remember what it is. I don't, I haven't yet figured out why I would use him unless I specifically knew I needed to get certain currencies. Like that's all he does. And I did get a logbook. Have you had a logbook yet?
No, I know I'm not doing the content.
Oh, so those are fun. It's basically just a giant blight map. And you have like, I think based on what you can roll determines how many bombs you get to detonate. But you have to plan it out because you're never going to cover all of the parts of the map. So I've done 2 of them. They were actually a ton of fun.
Nice, good.
I think a level 30 and a level 41, somewhere around there. So I know it was a big thing. I guess they've upped the drop rate of those. I had already had 2 by like Act 6. So
Nice.
mm,
Well,
that seemed
I'm
fine.
looking forward to doing it, but I have zero interest in extending the length of the campaign. So I'm fine to get it started. Like there's just so much to pick up. There's just so much to pick up. Like I just feel like I'm wasting so much time doing league content during campaign.
Normally I would agree. I just don't find it that bad. I found it helped me level up a bit faster, but it doesn't help you complete the campaign for sure faster. That's
Yeah.
still
Yeah. It's the same with every league though. Like I guess it's not a criticism per se to the league. Like every single league by the end of act 2 or 3, I'm skipping the rest until I get to campaign. It's mapping that I want to do.
right.
I want my character to be set up.
Well, hurry it up then. Get to
Act 10.
mapping
Act 10. I
time.
just got there.
So we got a lot to talk about for this week in PoE.
Gonna skip a lot of it probably.
Uh, yeah, I guess probably some of the stuff that doesn't matter.
Console
I don't
came
care
out
about
this
your
week.
first
That's
time. Why is this
yeah.
at the top?
Yeah. So anyway, I'm
Every
sure
time.
everybody noticed because I mentioned it in the guide thing, but 3.15 came out on console. Congratulations. Sorry, PlayStation people. You had a rough launch, but it's good to go now. And console people were blessed with the 15.0C patch. Looking forward to the D patch whenever that comes out, hopefully soon. I mean, obviously, it'll include a whole lot more of other things, but congrats, console folk. Now the game's officially launched, and the majority of people are going to start playing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then they had their what we're working on. I like when they do this. They do this usually at the beginning of every league.
Yeah,
There's
they
like a
do.
couple
but,
weeks in, a week or two, and then they're
but that was so far into the beginning of the week that almost all of that's out now.
I don't care if it's out. What do you mean? There's nothing wrong with it being out.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, we can just talk about when we get to patches.
Oh, I want to talk about this. We are going to talk about this, right? What, you want to talk about every individual patch, or what do you want to do?
No, I'm just saying, like, we'll get to it because it's released content already. So if you want to talk about it now, later, whatever.
Okay. I guess, what else do you want to talk about? Go for it. I want to talk about this. So let's talk about all the other stuff, because I don't give a shit about the MTX stuff. So let's talk about the MTX mystery box. Mystery box was awesome, but anyway, go ahead. You tell me.
Yeah. Well, no, we're gonna skip it. All the MTX stuff came out. There was a ton. We're gonna skip it because there's tons to talk about. But a lot of sweet
Did
MTX
you like any of
came
them
out.
specific?
Yeah, sure. I skip it all. Like it. I'm not looking for MTX now. What I'm looking for is when I have my skills, I'm like, oh, let's see what MTX are available. I think the only one I was excited for upon release was the the offering skill one that came out a few weeks ago. I bought it, I think, yesterday or the day before, not, when it came out. But the mystery box was awesome. I got to tell you, Justin, that it might be my favorite mystery box that's ever come out.
For the items or for what?
The scavenger look is amazing. That's like the dark one where you can get the wolf head. It has a bat and a rat, a massive rat pet. I mean, oh my goodness. And the portals were amazing. There's a back attachment for the scavenger that actually has an owl in it. It's like a pet in a back attachment. And I mean, the other one's awesome too. It even has a tail, like a tail back attachment. That's so. Anyway, and combined, Justin, I don't think I've loved any other MTX in a combined look. It is insane. It is so cool.
Yep. It's awesome. I got to be honest, I didn't watch the actual video of all of them, so I don't even know yet. I just heard
missing Camille's music. It's
no,
good.
I heard it. No, I did. I heard it. I just didn't watch it because I had it playing on my phone so I could at least hear it, but I didn't want to show people that I was watching a Path of Exile like MTX thing while I was walking through Whistler. So,
dude,
I wore a PoE shirt though while I was there.
That's amazing, Justin.
Yeah, and one of the
nobody
nobody
did.
His wife.
Oh,
I came downstairs wearing the shirt, and she's like, "That's a really cool shirt. It's the one of the big Exalt on the front, and then on the back it just says Path of Exile." And she was staring at it for a while, and she's like, "It's really cool, like all those faces." And Christine's like, "That's from his game," and she's like, "What?" All of a sudden, it wasn't so cool.
So now you have a wifer. Yeah, awesome. And then they posted some Brutus. Like, hi,
that was fun.
My name's Brutus highlights. Yeah, so there's some pretty cool jumps and stuff like that.
I watched you and Ethan on the Brutus because I had gotten to him first. So I watched your stream and then watched him play live.
What did he do?
To see, because it was funny. Jumped.
Oh, did he?
Same as you, just kind of like that.
Did I jump?
Nonchalant, da-da-da. I'm going through and you're like, what? Wait, what?
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool. Did you see him? I think it was in yours was the first where he smashes through the wall. Like he actually breaks the arch as he goes through one. I didn't see that because I didn't move with him. I fought him right in that area. But for you were moving around and he was following you. Anytime he ran through a doorway, he would actually smash the arch as he went through.
That's cool. I'll have to go back and watch it on my Twitch channel because I didn't even know he was out. I thought because I was waiting outside his boss gate or close to it, and then I was going to catch up on my Twitch chat. And then I was going to go in, and then all of a sudden I look and I'm fighting. So I didn't see it. So I'll have to go check.
You did kind of jump.
And then sure I did. And then there was a Royale Twitch Rivals event on the Twitch Rivals stream.
I saw a thing about it. I didn't.
That was kind of neat. I mean, it's cool for PoE to have well, it's just some of the bigger names that we'll recognize within the PoE community, all doing a big versus tournament. I didn't watch too much of it, so I didn't catch the details. But it was on the Twitch Rivals channel, which is neat. And they were all playing and going against each other. Friend of the show, Octavian, was co-hosting with, I think it was Raze. I think it was.
Yeah,
and then one of the
I think I saw that on a tweet.
And then there was one of the hosts from Twitch Rivals, I think it was. So yeah, it was good. It was kind of neat.
Yeah, it's cool that they're on there.
It's not my thing. I have zero interest in PvP in this game, but I love that GG's doing more events and that this one was public. So yeah. Oh, there was one thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're hiding it. Probably not. It was probably just a mistag, but the dev manifesto for this league isn't in the dev manifesto section. The last dev manifesto posted officially was Harvest.
Oh, really?
So just saying. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, patches. Let's talk about your patches.
Yeah. It's not even so much that they're like whatever. Most of the patches were just fine. There were fixes and bugs and blah blah blah. the T-posing one was pretty funny because I didn't actually know that that was a thing even before this one. Apparently in the past, that's been a graphical issue. I've never seen it, and it looked hilarious.
I've
Not
never
sure
knew it
why
was
they
a thing in
fixed it.
this game,
Yeah.
but it did actually impact how enemies interacted. So it wasn't like the skills happened
Oh, was it?
separately. So you look at some of the Brutus stuff. When Brutus got the T-pose, he couldn't do his attacks because they were all so. But I guess that's a really
Like he
cool
can't use
testament
his
to
arms?
yeah. So he's out like this. His arms are straight out, and then like his attacks or skills would only shoot out from his arms. They wouldn't,
Oh,
So,
interesting.
but that does kind of, even though I mean the T-pose thing, obviously GGG doesn't want that, but it is kind of a cool aspect. Like, wow, yeah, like those actions are really tied into, or those skills are really tied into the actions. That's kind of neat.
That was the first one. The second hotfix 2, we're still in 3.15. It was just bugs. Some of these you're probably going to care more. I'm really more into the whole flask and mana stuff. So
Yeah, I just there was, remember last week I praised the fact that my zombies didn't have to annoy me with their full life bar. Well, apparently that was a bug.
somebody pointed that out to us
Yeah.
really quick. I saw that.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was too bad. So now I'm going to be annoyed by all these full life bars by my zombies. So anyway, there was actually a really big patch which was just Royale. So I mean,
Oh, okay. That was before the thing, right?
I don't know.
I think
Maybe.
they rolled that out to make sure it was ready for whatever the
Awesome
rival
but
thing
it was kind of
was.
neat to see, even if it's a temporary thing, such a massive like Royale only patch. Reaper was buffed everywhere since our last episode. That was like damage, life, attack speed, movements. Like it was just everything about it was just like whoop, up 1,000,000,000%. And I don't know. I guess that's what happens when you add 19 new skills to a game. Some stuff gets overlooked. But I do want to touch on this, so remind me if I forget. Not every minion skill needs to do the same thing. Like a one-man show, a Reaper, shouldn't be equal to 10 zombies. It should have pros and cons, but it shouldn't have to clear content like every other minion build that has a million minions.
Do you think 10 zombies should be stronger than one Reaper?
100%. You have to have
Really?
way more invest. Well, yeah, like, so this Reaper, I don't have to care about its health. It actually benefits me in terms of its bonuses to not invest in its survivability. The more its health dips, the more it's going to look at consume minions, in my case, skeletons. And that benefits me. So what do I have to invest in? Like everything about this 315 change is about investment. Mana investment, this investment, that investment, damage investments. It's all about investment. And now you all of a sudden give us a skill that doesn't require investment. It's basically, here's some damage only. Maybe it does. I haven't taken it to, high vamp T16s yet, but if I'm supposed to do 90% in offense and a small amount of defense just to make sure it doesn't lose too much health before it consumes a minion, like it gets 50% of its health back when it consumes a minion. That's crazy. So where's my investment? At what point should something that I don't have to invest in be just as strong as a massive minion build?
Is there any chance, though, that because you are where you are so far in the game, that maybe you just haven't seen what's going to happen as you get into yellow and red maps, and maybe it will require it?
For sure, except I'm going off of examples and stuff that people have already done. Like I watched somebody beat an A9 Cyrus with just the Reaper, and they had the display showed up and everything, and they were totally fine. Now they were very experienced with it. They knew, like it was like a no-hit run. They knew what they were doing, but at the same time, like, okay, like that was a really fast fight.
I don't think that just because you have more of a type of something, it should be more powerful than something else. But I do think there should be an equivalent level of investment. And that doesn't mean that, hey, because I have 10, it should be better than 1. But it should be, if my 1 is going to be as good as 10, it should require me to put something into it that maybe doesn't just full on benefit it, or so, yeah, like you said, kind of pros and cons to it.
Well, like I don't have to invest in any mana with this. It's not even like I have skeletons, which I mean is one of the most mana saving ones that you have because it casts 3 at once. SRS is mana heavy. Zombies is an excruciatingly large mana amount, but I mean you're supposed to not want to resummon them for the most part. I mean there's always quirky builds, but that's the idea. Zombies, of course, you want massive life on because you never want them to die. Like there's investments everywhere, but with the Reaper, you're not investing in mana, you're not investing in survivability, and its damage got buffed to the point where, like, I mean, for me, I'm only Act 10, but it's a yawn fest. Like, it's easy. I don't have to do anything. So we'll see what it's like when I get going. But going from feedback from other people and what they've posted, it was a massive buff. But anyway, that was kind of a sidetrack, and my apologies. Another big patch improvement that they had was the reroll currency for your league NPCs had that drop rate increased quite substantially, along with your, what would you call them, logbooks? That got increased a lot as well.
Yeah, so that my currencies for the rerolls was very good with the Gwendolyn or whatever her name was, but it was very, very rare for the other ones, which seems to have been buffed a little bit, which is good. And then I saw the logbook change. I had already had 2 drop. I love that they'll drop more if they do, because they are so much fun. But I had already seen 2 of them, so I didn't realize it was an issue, but I'm super happy if that gets buffed up. Same with the reroll, because the as much as I talked about that I was fine doing the content, I never talked to the NPCs after, because I knew I didn't get any of the rerolls, so I'm still dealing with an NPC that's got items that are far lower than my level. So there's no point in me going to talk to him about that, or to talk to the NPC.
I always talk to them afterwards because I was so annoyed with the amount of inventory space all of their items took up. Like,
Okay,
some
so
of them take up a 2x2.
that.
That's insane. So the fact that there's no automatic metamorph stash system, oh,
I want to get into that, but let's finish the patches, because some of the stuff that they talked about in the what we're working on hasn't been answered in some patches, but some of them, well, actually, you know what? Let's just bring this one up, because it says has not been touched in any patch, and it sounds like they're fine to just not touch it. They asked, why does Expedition have 20 types of currency? And they wrote in their answer. Oh man, reading their answer was painful.
it was.
Reading their answer made me so angry. I was like, how are you this out of touch with the idea that I literally don't care. I don't care what you write in here for what your reasoning was. It's an awful, awful decision. And if you're going to stick to the awful decision, more power to you. We've had this conversation before. It's their game. Do what you want and you think is best. Jesus Christ, put a deposit all button or something. I can't stand control clicking through my whole inventory to try and find them. I don't know where they all are. I'm looking for 1x1s, 2x1s, 2x2s. They're just everywhere throughout the inventory. And even with the infinity option on, I still have to control click multiple times. They made it seem like, well, it's no big deal because you're going to talk to this NPC and just deposit every time. No, that's not what people want to do. I don't want to have to talk to an NPC to make a deposit of the crap that you just made me pick up.
Right.
It really bugged me reading this particular answer from them, because I get it. They at least explained their thinking, which is fair. But, I just felt so not on the same page with them at all. Especially when I just picked up, you friggin' liars, 4 stacks of rogue markers or something stupid that I'm still getting.
Yeah.
They're not minimal, or was it maximum 2? Nope.
Yeah,
I was going
to
to screenshot it and send it to you. That's not happening at all. I think you had Parandus too.
Yeah. It's absolute garbage.
That part really bugged me.
Yeah, 100%. If you care about item weight, don't annoy me with item weight. If I'm annoyed, what's the value? Where's the fun? Where's the enjoyment? Where's the excitement? If I'm skipping content because I'm annoyed. Half of it's because of the length of the campaign. The other half is because all it is picking up. Like, sure, I like killing monsters,
and then depositing.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
No, it's not. But the thing that baffles me with this is, why do it one league and not another?
Sure.
What was special about Metamorph that this league isn't doing?
Well, honestly, nothing. I don't know what their reasoning is for it. I really don't.
You had 20 things that you had to pick up per map for body parts. Okay. Well, you have scrolls of wisdom kicking around all the time. That shouldn't be an issue. So, but all of a sudden it is. You're like, okay, yeah, we've heard you. We're going to automatically pick up. We're not worried about the item weight value and the experience of picking it up. You're going to show this little that disappears.
Can I read something for you today?
Sure, yeah.
I just want to read something for you. This is coming from Grinding Gear Games in response to why do you have 20 types of currency? So they list the reasons of what the currencies are. This results in 20 currency items for use at the vendors, which does feel like a lot. However, because you can immediately stash them into the expedition locker after an encounter, the variety of currency types doesn't really cause additional inconvenience. Yes, it does. regardless of whether we had 1 type, 4 types, or 20 types, you'd still have to pick up a few items and stash them. Okay, but I didn't with Metamorph. And you don't have to. You guys could very easily make it. If you want me to pick them up, I still hate that, but fine. But make it easy for me to put that stuff. If it's just going to go into the storage.
Yeah, if the only
why
reason
are you
I'm putting
making me do it?
Yeah, that's right. If it's
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Hey, there's a
I just
stash
don't
right
get that.
there. Okay, guys. No. I'm going to drop it right here, right in front of the stash. Okay, now you pick it up. It's like a parent trying to teach their kid to clean up themselves and actually do their own action. No. I'm not going to clean it up for you. You get it. It is.
We
kind
come
of
back
funny.
to this kind of conversation all the time, and it just, when I read this, I go, wow, I just must not be on the same page as them, which is, again, that is fine. It's their choice. But I just read that and go, they very, very clearly in here aren't going to change it.
No.
They said there's too many of splinters in Path of Exile. We'll be mindful of this for design of future releases, which is just basically a giant FU for now. Go ahead and pick them up and deposit them every single time you do one.
It's like they don't play other games and they don't play their game. Like when Diablo 4 comes out, I'm still going to be a PoE freak, and it's always going to be PoE over something else, even if something better comes along. That's probably just the way I am, but I'm going to play Diablo 4, and when I do, I am going to love 2 things. The excellent performance and frame rate that was insisted upon in Diablo 3. There was never any issues with performance for me on console, and the looting experience was glorious. Absolutely fast and furious, and it was wonderful.
It just weirds me out, and that was one of them. That was one of the things that bothered me a little bit. But anyway, do we have more patches, or did we hit the last
one more
patch?
thing that actually really excited me, because to me this was one of those. So you really reduce the damage of the player. Awesome. We're both 100% on board with that. One of the issues I had with that is, okay, are you considering a lot of these other mechanics? I forget who it was that we mentioned in the previous episode, but they're like, okay, well, what about timed events? If you want my bosses to last, if you want my fights to last longer, what's going on with all these core timed events? What's going on with life regen with bosses? Another one, of course, is the curse modifiers. And so on map mods. So now one of the fixes that they've done, which is nice, map curse modifiers no longer have an increased effect. So that's nice.
Which is nice.
It's something where the game's still difficult. They're not changing a lot, but it's now more feasible for the longer battle systems and longer survivability, of course, as well, which is always something to take into account.
Yeah, I wish I had seen the Act 1 Goatmen in Endgame, because they nerfed the damage from the Leap Slam and the Molten Shell, and to me, those are fun. Especially Molten Shell should do a lot of damage. So I hope they didn't nerf it to the point where you don't feel it, but I also wouldn't want to necessarily get one shot, although you used to. Molten Shell used to one-shot you from those Goatmen. If you were too close to them, you were probably going to die when it exploded.
One of my big issues with the game still is getting off-screen damage. And one thing I like about the spell Goatmen is that their spells are slow. Like, they're destructive. They could crush you, but their spells are slow. So when you're actually paying attention, when you realize you've rolled a Goatman mod, you do have a way. Even a slow player like me has chance to get away from these slow-moving projectiles. The leap slams, nope, not a chance. You don't even know they're there, and then boom. So I
don't think you should be one shot.
Yet. No, definitely not. I used to use the leap slam when my slow-mo zombies guide was all about, what it was, the necromancer, but really focused on temporal chains efficiency. I used the leaping goatman as my example of, this is what 75
temp
this
change.
Is what a 75% or a maxed out temp change looks like. And they're like running and they're like, ah! Ooh, and it really took
awesome.
them quite a few seconds to actually land beside me. So it was kind of fun. There's one subject left that I want to talk about, but it'll probably be the rest of.
Okay, so let me do mine first, because then we'll do mana. So the first one was the whole changes to flasks and the ailment immunity. So they basically made it so instead of it only lasting 1 second, it lasts 4 seconds. Added freeze immunity to Arctic armor, which I'm not complaining about, but that is a little. It kind of made me laugh.
That is a very strong 25% mana reservation.
Yeah, that's a pretty good buff. But here's the only thing I'll say about the flask changes that will tie slightly into as we talk about the mana changes, which was it would have been cool to play with it for a little bit.
Yes.
I get that they changed the flasks, and I really want to talk about mana, but I would love to know what the percentage of players was, though, that got to endgame by the time this change happened and flipped out about it. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. There are, I know that a lot of people that listen and that play at a very fast level. A league comes out, they go crazy, but you're not the majority. I'm not even saying I'm the majority, but I'm just saying, how is it that they already go, okay, this is less than a week in, and we're going to change this, and then literally backpedal like crazy on the mana stuff. It's weird to me that they did it. So I did not feel like I even got a chance to dick around with this stuff.
No.
By the time that they were changing it, I got the tabula and I was kind of enjoying, and I talked to people about this, and people did not agree with me in conversations, that I was looking forward to the change. I was looking forward to trying to figure out what would I do differently to try and make it work. And I was doing that in that little bit after I got the tabula, because now it's like, oh shit, six sockets is heavy on the mana side. I got to start thinking this out. The next time I played, I didn't even know it until people were talking about it in Discord. I'm like, you gotta be friggin' kidding me.
So yeah, I hear you. And you know what? Tarky said the same thing. Karina on our Discord quoted Tarky. She says, I agree with Tarky. They didn't even give us enough time to figure this stuff out, to find these solutions.
Oh, yeah, did he say that? Okay.
Yeah,
it's true.
Now, he was referencing mana, according to Karina, but still, like, so here's two things. I think what happened, this wasn't a majority case. I think this is somebody that was playing the game at GGG and is like, no, this 1 second thing's not going to work. We got to change this right away. They have a meeting, whatever it is, and they go back to it. Because one thing that I'm going to get into with, the mana thing that we're referencing, everyone, just in case you're out of the loop, is out of the many mana changes that GGG made for 3.15, one of them was to also increase how much mana each support multiplied on your skill. So if something used to cost 120% of your mana, if you were to add that support on, now it costs 150 or 160% of the mana instead.
It was anywhere from like 10 to 30% increase.
Right. And so, but now they've backtracked on a lot of that. Now it's not going back to the original value, but they've dramatically reduced the mana cost of support gems. And to couple that in with also going back to the original value of the duration of, I guess, what would you call them? Immunities that Flask can give with certain mod rolls. Here's one thing. I think with the flasks, it could have been somebody at GGG, who knows who, but they're like, you know what? The state of the game that we're in, great idea. We'll get to the 1 second stage, but that makes zero sense for where the game is today. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but why pick 4 then?
I don't know. Maybe going back.
You used to be for the duration of the flask. Why not just do that? Not many flasks last, unless you roll very specific stuff. You don't have too many flasks lasting much longer. It just was weird to me that they were like, 3 more seconds. Like, what? Why?
Well,
what made you pick
maybe the default
3?
Duration is 4 seconds for most. No? Oh no, I think
I don't know what the default is, but
4. Maybe it is just because that's the default duration.
It's just weird to me that that's what they say. It kind of goes into a conversation you and I had, which we've not talked about on the podcast, and I'm not even saying to go into detail about it, but we were talking about a response from GGG about making these assumptions that people should just understand how the flasks work, and that we shouldn't, it doesn't need to be worded for the layman to understand, which that is us 100%. You can't say something like the whole staunching
the immunity
bleed,
thing.
whether it comes off, is immune, did I remove the bleed?
Right.
And you're kind of talked to as if like, you idiot, of course it does. And it was kind of like, well,
yeah. So we were having this conversation, and someone was asking the same question that Justin and I were, and I don't remember if it was on the podcast. So Justin, yes, it was. You were talking about, this was on the Patch Notes podcast, I forget. And it was, hey, wait, the flasks don't say remove. It just says immune. And there's so many other circumstances in the game where, okay, the curse doesn't impact you, but you're still technically cursed. The curse isn't, like all these different uniques and combinations. So we're used to that type of mentality. So now when a flask only says immune, it's like, okay, well, maybe we're still technically chilled, but we're immune to chill for that 1 second. And then GGG came on, is like, well, no, immune also means remove, so it would be redundant to say remove. And we're like, okay, well, that's not in the game
that's like
anywhere.
Later and soon.
And I don't even think that's on the wiki. So I don't know who you're talking to, who you're playing with, but that's not my information, and it's me that you're trying to communicate with. So
Right.
let's
Use words, real, full words. I can't guess.
I know.
So that's what when it comes to the ailment thing, I thought the same thing as mana. I was a little surprised. I didn't find flasks that bad, and I didn't have a problem using a mana flask. So it wasn't the end of the world for me. And again, I wasn't in endgame, but we've had this. I wish I could remember what league it was where they did this massive backpedal
Heist.
within the first couple weeks. Was it Heist?
The entire league mechanic of Heist went from you have to sneak, you have to pick and choose your enemies to
and they backed up.
Screw
That's
it,
right.
just
You're
kill
right.
whoever you want.
Forget all those modifiers we've given you the option to. I want to also say though, the mana side of things, where they backtracked on this mana thing, I'll be honest, this is the first time I'm hearing you say that Tarky was saying it's too bad they didn't give us a chance to try it out, which I do appreciate and agree with. And I have no idea what his original thought was, but I saw a lot of negativity. And we talked about this too, from just everyone in general, when they talked about these are the flask changes coming and these are the mana changes coming. It's going to be more expensive to use the skills. The more supports you add.
Sure.
We knew it going in. People were super negative about it right off the bat. I just don't feel like there was a great amount of time to actually put into it and go, can I adjust my build? Like, I hope that they still plan to maybe marginally increase these amounts.
I hope so
they've
too.
Kind of pulled it back. Only because if this was how you wanted it to be, then make me figure out a way to make it work.
Yes.
That's fine. I'm fine with that. And I was talking to some people and I said, it might change your build. You may have to do something differently, and that's fine.
Right. Well, that's the whole point. Like, there are certain build. Yeah. So here's the thing. What's the point of playing at league launch? This has happened a lot.
Yeah, I still will.
Like,
I mean,
sure. But if you're one of those people that, like, this is a theory crafting game. Every single one of us plays this game in our heads in a theory crafting mode just as much or more than we're actually in game. When you backtrack this much post-launch, and it doesn't even have to be backtracking, when you dramatically change post-launch, like Dai brought up a good point in our Discord. He's like, once it's launched, it's launched. Everything you've done from the point of launch all the way to the point of these dramatic changes, not bug fixes, like massive mechanical changes, you've wasted all my time. People book time off of work. Sure, that might not be GG's prerogative, but it's something to consider. People are excited. This is your highest peak time. And everything, sure, people might make progress. People might find something that works well. And it's not about success or failure in terms of your build, but it's just a waste of time. I have played a completely pointless version of the game, and now I'm starting from scratch again.
They come out with this, what we're working on, right? And I looked it up just out of curiosity. It came out on the 25th of July. The league launched on the 23rd. 2 days after the league launch is when they're putting out this thing saying, yep, mana cost too high. And oh yeah, ailments, you're right. We're going to change it to 4 seconds. I don't think I'm wrong in saying that the majority of players did not get a chance to actually try much out endgame wise within 2 days. I just don't.
No, for sure. But here's the thing that I'm baffled with. Now, we're not there. We don't know what this is like. So here's the thing. Mana multipliers, right? Heralds are popular. They're not the only skills, but they're popular. So I have a Herald of Purity build that's on console. And in 3.14, I would have a level 12 Clarity, Dread Banner, which is 10%, and a 5-link Herald of Purity. Right? It had, I think it was Maim, Brutality, Summon Phantasm, and Minion Damage. Okay? So a 5-link Herald of Purity with a 10% banner and a level 12 Clarity. I have 600 total mana, and I had more than enough mana. I mean, who knows if it was 50 or 100 mana left over, but I had more than enough mana to be able to constantly spam my Dominating Blow that was also a 5-link at the time. So console gets released with 3.15.0C, which is basically the new PoE with all the mana stuff, but before the reductions. I can't. So Clarity's off. Dread Banner's off. I can't load a 5-link Herald of Purity. That's crazy that the mana multipliers are so high on league launch that you haven't considered. Now, maybe, I doubt it, But maybe they're like, okay, you know what? Heralds are that strong that we really want you to invest in maximizing your mana. But no, still that doesn't make sense because it's still a percentage based. So a 5 link,
You could reduce it on the tree.
I guess.
I don't know by much. I honestly
Sure.
don't know by if enough. Sure.
Sure. So maybe I could be the champion and oh no, that's aura efficiency. No, there's no mana reduction anywhere except for actually on the tree. I'm talking ascendancies. So anyway, a normal 5 link herald, I couldn't socket. I couldn't turn it on. I could make it a 4 link. So I removed minion damage and I made it a 4 link. I turned on the herald. Awesome. Couldn't put on my 10% banner. So I'm thinking, okay, you've really excluded this. Maybe you don't want it to be a 5 link. Maybe. But considering the other changes they've done, and like this goes back to me with Harvest. You put Harvest into the core game. So this is post league now. You put Harvest into the core game. After it's in the core game, right? You've already removed it for an entire league because you want to install it right. After you've had that thought process, you're like, okay, we have to dramatically change it because it it conflicts with the core values of the looting system and crafting in the game. Okay, that's a weird concept, right? Like you've already done this thought process. How did you miss the most important part of your game in this? So it goes through like, what are they thinking about? What are they talking about? You're going through all these mana multiplier stuff. What are the subjects you bring in? Is it like a 5-minute meeting? I know there's lots to go through, but you're making the big game. You're the one that needs that massive checklist, not us. Like, so now you're going through 1 second to 4 second. Like it just, I'm a pro PoE guy. People call us fanboys all the time. Guilty as charged. But like this doesn't install faith in the community. Like what I have here is basically GGG is giving like the Reddit whiners a massive check in the win column. Because whatever was done ahead of time prior to this league launch, they've backtracked on enough of it that it, like the people that whined and complained got what they wanted, and it's going to be so encouraging for the
before too.
And they're going to do it again and again and again because they feel like they're going to get their way. And there's got to be a point where you have to know what you're releasing ahead of time. You have to know your game. It's not our job to; it's their job to. So if so much of it's coming out and it's not coinciding with the way we're playing today, they got to know.
Also, I'm going to devil's advocate a little bit on the Herald of Purity side. My hope, and I would give them a bit of credit on this one and just say that I think that I'm hoping that they're right, is that they knew that you couldn't run a 5 or a 6 link Herald of Purity based on whatever supports you wanted to put on, and they were fine with that. When it comes to auras, I actually don't mind as much as them kind of crushing them or making it so that you can't make these. And again, I know people argue with me because aura bodying is still a super strong build, but I would have, it wouldn't bother me if they wanted to find ways to not just make it so that your aura was everything. When I looked at the changes to the mana multipliers for me, because I don't go super heavy into the auras, it was much more based on the active skills. Okay, now that's going to cost me quite a bit more. I don't tend to run too many supports onto my auras either. So I know if I've got a 50 and a 10, I need to know what my mana needs to be. And mana multipliers for me with auras make my head spin because it can jump up super fast even before this change. So I can only imagine with some of these changes, it would have been massive. I would have hoped that they had already tested that though. I feel like they have a system where they could go take this skill and these supports, and what do we get without having to put in the game? I feel like there's a spreadsheet or something that they can do where it shows math, that.
Right? No, but here's the thing: I totally agree with you, but they reduced the values, right? Like if they kept the values the same, and now all of a sudden, even a 4 link Herald of Purity or Herald of Agony is a massive mana commitment, I'd be like, wow, that changes everything. Like imagine doing that Herald of Purity jug that, it feels like everybody does for solo self-hold hardcore. Okay, like that changes everything. Great. Okay, wow, this is a massive mix-up.
I like that.
But right,
you're talking
but
about.
Now
that's
it's
what
different.
I was looking forward to.
It's and because it's been reduced, now it makes me think, what on earth were you doing? Like, how long did this conversation have? Like, to me, I don't care how strapped for time they are. This is their schedule.
Do you mean
they got to figure it out.
Were they doing leading up to going back on the decision?
No, not necessarily. Like, you have to be comfortable with what you're releasing.
I don't think that happens though.
But
I don't. It doesn't seem like that for the last number of leagues. I feel like they've backtracked a bit.
That's the point. What, like,
I know where you're coming from. I just don't get it. And it really, really bothers me more than anything when it's because of bitches on Reddit.
Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's somebody in GGG, Chris, Mark, whoever saying, you know what, this is,
No,
I do not like how this is playing. We got to change it. I know it's going to piss people off, but
when they talked about what they're working on, one of the things Chris says here is a lot of players have tried to derive our player concurrency numbers based on the data shown for Steam users, have expressed concern that fewer people played this expansion than the previous two. And then he goes on to talk about, yeah, we've had 23% and we knew it. So here's my problem with that. That clearly would have been from people on Reddit. A lot of players are trying to derive our concurrency numbers. Nobody's talking about this on the forum and nobody's reading the forums. This is definitely happening on Reddit.
there is
also,
yeah.
who gives a shit that how many concurrent play? What difference does it make to you and me as we play the game if there's less people playing the league than last league? That doesn't change anything.
It's people out there trying to prove whatever point they have. Like if GGG knows they're nerfing the game hard and that there's going to be a lot of babies, they know their numbers are going down. So they're doing it for whatever the first well, right.
Why bring it up? I just find that weird.
I remember
why bring it up?
Before Bex took this long hiatus, there's just some stuff you leave alone. Don't fuel the fire. If you don't care about the stats, if you knew they were going to drop, don't give them
yeah, it's weird. I'm excited to play through the rest of this league and see what they do with it, but it is really frustrating to hear them come up with something that they're excited for. And you are right. It goes right back to Heist. A new idea, something that's fresh, something that's going to change the way you play. And then when people cried about it on Reddit, and it is not just Reddit. There are people who it does not matter what GGG does. They go, we're going to make these mana multipliers harder and we're going to change flasks. And people, there were tons of them that were screaming and crying. This is a terrible change. I don't like this change. This is blah, blah, blah. And then they go ahead and backtrack on some of it. And then those same people are going, whoa, come on, guys, like make up your mind, or why would you change this? And you can't win. You just can't win. So I found it too quick. And that was what made me a little sad. I didn't get to try it.
It is, right. Yeah. And I mean, what's wrong with it lasting a league?
Or 2 weeks. Not 3 days. Like, give me some time to try it out.
That's that really quick. Like, I really hope it wasn't Reddit that did it. I really hope it was just somebody that knows better and has the power to make that executive decision. Now, all this being said, all it does is might sound silly, but kind of break trust. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, we have no idea what to expect from you. Next dev manifesto, next patch notes are going to be like, whatever.
There's got to be an asterisk that says based on Reddit response.
But still, like when this happens with Harvest going core, when this happens with Heist, when this happens with this, sure, it might not have happened for Ultimatum, and maybe it didn't happen for Ritual, but that's still 3 out of the last 5 leagues, 3 in the last year and a quarter. Like at some point, it ruins the excitement of the future.
I think the thing that's frustrating for me is you don't get to watch them do what they want to do.
Right.
Chris seemed really excited about these changes when he talked about them. So just at least have the balls to hold out for a little bit. If you already know your numbers are down 23% and you expected them to be down, then just fuck it. You're going to go down. People are going to leave. Maybe it would boggle my mind, honestly, if this was what made people quit playing the league. The fact that the mana multiplier was changed, that would be hilarious. I honestly think that would be funny. Like, well, you made my skill cost more mana. I'm going to play something else. That'll be weird.
Yeah, you know what? And there are going to be some people that have a certain play style they like, and that's the only way they play. For example, I would play Madden, and I only played with a custom playbook. I hated other teams' playbooks. I hated where they put their audibles. I hated all of it. I would only play Madden with custom playbooks. If they got rid of custom playbooks, I wouldn't play anymore because that was the only way I enjoyed the game. I could see some people only enjoying this game because they could adapt a certain playstyle to it. So sure, any change could remove some users because you can't do it. Now, this is a huge theory crafting game, so that would probably be a really low number, but it's not a number that GGG would ever really care about
because 23%.
Well, and you're getting those numbers back with other people, right? That like these difficult games. Now, I'm not against the changes. Whatever changes they make, I'm fine with. Like we just spent the last 20 minutes sounding pretty harsh and negative about it. Whatever the mana changes are, great. They're not reverted back to the old ways. whatever the flask changes are, okay. Like, I was just really excited for GGG to stick it to us and be like, this is how it's going to be. Let's figure it out. So the thing that's discouraging to me is if we're trusting them and we're saying, okay, they aren't doing this because of complaints. They aren't doing it for this. They're doing it because they actually feel like they made a mistake. Their mana multipliers were way too big. And they said that. They said, yes, they were too aggressive. We're going down.
Based on feedback, though. So
sure.
It wasn't, again,
okay.
I know you like to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'm with you. We are not trying to like hate on them, and it's not a bashing them. It's just, it feels like there's a third party that controls a lot of the decisions, and it's a little annoying.
We really don't want it to be a knee-jerk reaction. That's what we're hoping for. So, yeah, I'm done.
I'm curious to see how it plays out. Like I said, I haven't had the benefit of getting into endgame and getting a long-term build setup, so we'll see how it is. But I do know it will probably be a little bit easier with this change because I won't have to be as worried about how am I going to plan out my mana. And it was a little bit exciting. I was talking to BK about this early on. I was excited just to try something new, to try and go, okay, well, how do I make this? That was kind of fun. Just the idea of thinking, I got to find a new way of trying something out. Yeah, it might be a little, I think a lot of people were worried it would be clunky and not super smooth. And that might be the case. I just didn't even get a chance to get far enough to try it out. So we'll see how it goes. But I really, really like Expedition. In general, I like the changes. I find these ones a little odd. And we'll see how they go.
Have you seen any of the new currency items for flasks yet? I have one.
One.
You had one?
Instilling.
Which one? Oh, you got the instilling?
Instilling,
yeah.
That's
the one I want. I got the other one that makes my flask stronger. I don't want that. I don't want to touch it.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous that I was talking to Ethan actually about it, and because I don't think he's had one yet, and he's just about finished Act 10. And I said, he's like, well, it's not looking good for there being enough. And I'm like, I'm just trying to give it till maps. Because I don't feel like they should be common during campaign.
Yeah, okay. Me too.
Doesn't make sense. So I keep telling myself, when you get to maps, these are going to start dropping.
They'll drop
more.
like chromatics. Yes.
You got to get to like I don't know, like monster level 70. That's fair to get a lot.
I hope, because it would suck so much.
Don't ruin it for us,
right,
please.
Right.
If you're listening, just lie to us.
If chaos spamming isn't the wise way to go about it, please don't make them the same way or the same ratio drop.
I've seen one, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, no, just a big solid one so far.
I did actually appreciate the fact that it was this one, because I want most of my flasks to be triggered automatically without me touching it. But my escape flask, I'm like, you know what? Or not my escape mask, my Quicksilver flask. I'm like, if I change how I do my flasks up, I could have a catch up to Justin button. And so I put my
when I'm X meters away.
Right, use
flask.
No, so on my Quicksilver flask, I did the make stronger flask, and now it's
you used it. Wow.
On the Quicksilver. So now it's now when we're mapping together, I'm gonna be like, see ya. And it's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna be the Roadrunner, you're gonna be the Coyote, and my Reaper's just gonna dance all over the place. Dancing Queen. She's a she. Remember, Chris was referencing her as a she, and when you zoom in, I forgot to write this down. I played completely zoomed in.
Ew.
As soon as I beat Lunaris and Solaris, I'm like, I think I had to like take a break or something. Sick? And so for one, it's a minion build, so I don't have to click anything specific.
Sure.
And I didn't have to look at the screen because Summon Reaper's easy mode. And so I'm moving around, but it was surprisingly clear. I couldn't believe that I think stop playing at 11. So maybe I got a little more tired than I normally would have, because I was hoping to play till 1. But I played completely zoomed in for all of Blood Aqueducts and all of Act 9. It was awesome. Well, almost all of Act 9. I got to the point where you're talking to Sin close to you moved through Act 9 to the point where you're past the tunnels, and then you're at the waypoint, and then you got to go do the optional quest. And then go up. I don't know. You can tell I pay attention to the lore. Yeah, there's a left and there's a right, and then you go in the body again. I got to that waypoint, all zoomed in, and for a minion build, it was fun. It made looting so much easier because everything's like right up in your face.
You probably missed a boatload.
No, it all shows up, dude. I have the filter of champions. I can't believe you suggested Nathan not to use my filter. It's
Zooming
amazing.
in is only for taking pictures of your MTX. and checking out how good you look.
It was awesome.
That's all
you
the
should try
zoom's
it.
in for.
Act 10. You should try
No,
it.
I have before, and I was laughing to myself like, this is awful.
Well,
you shouldn't be allowed to move while zoomed in.
well, you're doing ice trap, so it's different. But your
I
next
think I told you
build.
one league I accidentally started with my mouse had accidentally clicked like 1 or 2 in, and I was convinced that I was like, what the frick did they do? Why am I so much closer? And then realized I'm just an idiot.
Oh, I hope they keep the camera angle that they suggested a couple years ago at ExileCon. They were talking about changing it, like it's going to be farther away but more narrow.
Slightly
I think
higher
it was,
up,
something
right.
like that. Yeah, anyway, I'm excited for it because I don't like the current one. We're too high on the screen.
Oh yeah, PoE 2, thank goodness.
Yeah, just around the
That'll be
riverbend.
fair. All right, let's wrap this up. I'm excited to play this week, get some more expedition, and hopefully you guys listening have been having fun with this league as well. Anyway, thanks a lot for listening.
You edit that out, you prick.
I'm gonna have to leave, somehow edit that out. Thanks, Tyler. Episode 95, Forever Exile, the Path of Exile podcast. I am Justin, aka Tags.
Tyler Record Days, I want more flask orbs.
We will see Patreons in After Dark, everybody else in episode 96 next week. Thank you guys for listening. If you're looking for more information, you can find it down below, website foreverexiled.com. We're on Twitter, foreverexiled82. We have a Discord that is, super duper awesome. And if you're looking for information about our After Dark and Patreon and all that other good stuff, you'll find the info down below or on our website. Peace.